Good morning, Renegades. It's Sunday here in Detroit, and it's exactly 12:03:42. And if you can use those numbers in any way, if you're tuning in, if energetically you want to understand your relationship to where I'm actually broadcasting from, uh, and this broadcast in particular, I know it might sound crazy to some folks, uh, is being broadcast across the universe, man. I mean, it it it's some things that I honestly did not want to talk about. Uh, I consider it classified information, and the reason I consider it classified information is because it's personal information about myself. And it's like when you're part of the Galactic Federation of Light or the collective or anybody right now, I mean, we all have the same mission. So it doesn't matter what frequency you're tuned into. However, if it's raising your vibration, if it's pulling you through emotion, if it's got your third eye going, these are messages specifically for you, then uh, then that's all that matters. Okay, because the energy has radically changed. The COVID in particular has radically changed, and there is incredible hard light on Earth right now and throughout the galaxy, because the more that we come online, because of the diversity, the amount of the universe that is contained in Earth is beyond your wildest imaginations, because Earth was a learning lab. This is where universes would come and they would borrow DNA, and they would borrow the trees and the canyons and the waves and all that stuff to seed their own galaxies. And so when the codes for Earth were whatever, okay, and the reason that I say whatever when it comes to the codes of Earth is because that was what the wars were all about in the heavens, was like who actually has the dominion over Earth, and it was unending. Okay, and we saw these errors come through. I mean, we were plunged into a dense because we want to enable to maintain our very high frequency fifth dimension, our gods, or what you call our gods, or the Federation and the people that were responsible for basically the maintenance and security of Earth, was the entire galaxy, because it was so important for the rest of the galaxy. So as you activate on Earth, no matter where your alignment is on Earth, as you activate that blossoms, and it basically it encrypts our system. Okay, I mean that's basically what's happening. It's like, as renegades of light, I know the reason that this particular message is going across the galaxy is because it took me a long time to prepare this morning. And it was like, no, calm your ass down, sit down, have another fucking doobie. And sometimes when I get like that, what it is the collective gathering your consciousness and saying that, okay, we're going to put a show together based on what everybody absolutely has to hear right now. And I said, no, I don't want to go into that, man. That's some heavy shit, because we're going to be talking about mental illness. We're going to be talking about third eye flashbacks. We're going to be talking about the bipolar and schizophrenia, and how schizophrenia really operates like how the bees pollinate the flowers and the plants and give us food. And so, if this is part of God's creation, how does that all work? And one of the things that we have to broach today is suicide and aborted missions. But some of that is because it's so dark and dense down here right now that our support systems, they've just basically, think of, I guess you could kind of use, I don't want to say the coronavirus, but it operated, it was like once a certain part of the earth codes to these certain dimensions, and of course, this was not started with malicious intent. Earth was a learning lab in today's terms. It was a learning lab. So as a learning lab, these things, if people wanted to have this kind of experience, it operated in the fifth dimension, and people wanted to have that kind of thing, but it took powers. That was kind of the franchisee thing kind of about it, because different galaxy or universes, they own intellectual property to some of the experiments that were going on down here. And then, it erupted, it was just, and if you're Galactic Renegade of Light, you'll be going like, holy fuck, like this guy is just like throwing. I can tell because my papers are shaking, right? But you guys, by the way, did I say how the fuck are you? I hope you're good, because the energy is incredible. And then so what happens is, like today I got up and I said, man, I feel weird. I feel a little off. I don't know what I'm looking for. And this episode is going to get trippy a little bit too, because I'm going to talk about twin flames and just the abrupt changes that are happening in your lives right now, and you can't explain it. You can't explain it. But basically, if I had to break it down, it's like my twin flame said, bitch, get out. There's been some really interesting shakeups, and we're still friends, and all that's good, but out there collectively. So the way this is working with me is collectively you guys are feeding into the collective, or the Galactic Federation of Light. If you're a renegade, you're part of this conversation. So as we talk in that 9th and 12th dimension, across the galaxy, across the universe, and on Earth, this is how we share in our elders above us. The real bad motherfuckers in the renegade class that are above us. Because if you think, I'm millions of years old, you're millions of years old, what are our ancestors, man? You want to talk about having codes, and how far does that go? And you can't think how far in the universe this actually goes, but we're actually all connected. But when you get to 13, man, it's prime cause, and it's lights out. Okay, and how we, Earth was really cool because we could come down here and be a farmer, or we could come down here and be an astronaut, and we could come down here and be, whatever we wanted to be. If you wanted to be a pimp, that there are things where we can have expression, and it's all a prime cause. What happened is there's been a monopoly. There's been a pretty crazy. It's just like any war. The war in heaven went from conventional shit to, like, think about what you have on Earth in your iPhone, and think about what we have in heaven, and we've been evolving along with you. and, trying to catch up to them. Okay. And, or keep up with them. But this is all part of our evolution. In you guys want me to share this. It's a lot like I spent a lot of years manufacturing cars with Chrysler in plants, working on setup. I was the quality engineering manager of Global Engine, and in a lot of ways, what we've had to do is go from these extreme dark primitive times where there was extreme control of the population, and a lot of it was done in the entertainment industry. I mean, mind control is mind control, and those are part of the controls that the dark forces have, and they're very sophisticated with it, but they've also evolved, and we've had to evolve along with them. And as we were evolving along with them, so were they. So they were going to other planets and solar systems and enslaving those systems the same way that they enslaved Earth. So they played dirty. But in a lot of ways, in relationship to our evolution, this had to happen, because the fight for liberation and a free Earth, we had to calibrate the machine kind of the same way that I could make an engine that will go into a car and last for 100,000 miles, but understand all the metallurgy and all the little inclusions and the mineral compositions and the strengths and the elasticity and all these crazy, wonderful properties of a natural element. And now we're machining it down to that. So, and it becomes a very thing. Like, for example, I would control in microns. In 1 micron, there's 740 human hairs in 1 micron. So when you start thinking about the dark and the light, we were way out here because they got an unfair advantage. Okay, I mean, they really, their butts are cooked anyway, so it really doesn't fucking matter what the dark is doing. But what we have to do is expose the dark, and that's the oath that I took when I joined the Renegades, is that I would bring whatever information that I had forward. And today, I don't know how long this is gonna be, but do like me, put this shit on in the background if you think that you're energetically connecting to this. If I didn't announce myself, I am Apollo 22. I am part of the Galactic Federation, as are you. Every renegade across the planet. And I keep hearing 3 million, and they're pounding me, and we're going to talk about some of the millions that we lost today when we get into the mental illness part of this classified transmission. And when I say classify, I mean, some people, it's going to be like, it's going to be right over their head. They ain't going to hang. They aren't going to stick around to listen. But those of you that feel that pull, and I feel, I mean, literally a direct connection. And the way that it works for me is that I'm already connected to the 9th and 12th dimension. My chakras, my dongle, or if you want to say my antenna, blows through everything else. And when I'm in alignment, my pineal gland feels like it's about to blow out of the top of my head. And it's kind of how the ancestors wrestle me. So how I know I'm actually talking truth and speaking truth that needs to be represented and very clear in these times, because the energy is overwhelming, and you can get, with mental illness, we are all over the place. And then the intergalactic part of it, a lot of people won't get. So The multi-dimensional, for those of you that are trying to connect, um, like try to do that now. I mean, go up is center yourself, make sure your channels are clear, and in order to get like through the real shit of the fourth dimension, sometimes it's like what we call an engineering multipath. And I've explained this once in a video. I guess I'm going to keep explaining it. But a multipath is like when a radio is sent into a middle of a downtown metropolis center with a lot of glass windows, and what happens is when the radio frequency beam gets in there, the frequencies bounce around and they scatter, and they're bouncing off of everything. And the one singular antenna in the car, like sometimes you guys will see a wire that's wrapped around that's under the plastic on a car. It's trying to grab all those frequencies and reassemble them so you can get a clean signal in the car. And that was a very tough engineering problem to have. And when you're connecting telepathically, because all of those tools are online, any tool, spiritual gift that you think that you have, and you know that you have, and it's of light, it's not rogue energy, you got to make sure that it's really who you are. You got to make sure it's your signature. If it's making you do shit that you're not comfortable with, it's not you. It has to come from in here. It's the only way to get into your resonating frequency is to go within, and then you got to go outside. I hope everybody is doing marvelously well. And we got a lot of questions like, how does this motherfucker know what he knows? Okay. And so you guys actually say, okay, what I'm looking for my see, I got all yeah, you guys wanted me to talk about, a little bit about how I go from how I feel this morning, which was like really kind of crappy. I feel better now, but it takes a lot of work to this, and I'll just grab whatever's in front of me, and what I do is I start going in a circle, sort of like a spiral, and I'm writing out, and I would invite you to write out too thoughts in however you express, because for a lot of us, we literally all our lives have had problems writing in straight lines. Okay, and I have a master's degree, and it's not like I couldn't do things. Typing definitely helped me, but I know my thoughts come from a lot of different areas of my mind, and as long as I was in 3D, I understood that within that realm. And then when you went galactic, but some of you guys want to know, how do I get into who I am, start communicating? I don't say channeling, I say communicating with the Galactic Federation of Light, or whoever you're communicating with, and that bilateral communication. And if this gift or your ability is on, one of the ways that it's on is because you see the people in history, you can have conversations with them. Wow. Okay. I mean, okay, they're caught. I mean, when you're having lucid human hallucinations, okay, and for real that shit's for real. That shit is for real. That's in a multi-dimensional realm, and mental health right now doesn't understand the multi-dimensional realm. And so what I'm going to be sharing is classified because it was a very difficult nervous breakdown to get through. And the ancestors and my guardian angels that have had me all my life, man. I mean all my life. I mean my guardian angels. Holy shit fuck, right? I mean, oh, and I'm so grateful for that class. And I'm a renegade, but yet, you understand just how majestic God's creation really is. I mean, it's just so amazing, right? And you know, um, and me being a renegade means that I might cuss and swear and smoke a doobie, or I'm really unconventional in a lot of ways. I like old hot rods, and I mean, just I'm a mess in a way, but it's like, it's some of the coolest stuff to me, and what I'm fascinated with. And everybody has their thing, and it doesn't have to be any fucking thing, right? But I'm not, and there's a lot of us out there that are just like me, where God is omnipotent. There's no question, but you're gonna live your life, and you want to live your life, and you want everybody to have that freedom to live their life. I mean, it's all light and love, man. But sometimes it's like, you know, what would Earth be without the bad guys? I mean, we want to resist and sometimes have fun with that stuff, and people incarnate to play those roles. But what's happened is just the 1%, man. They took everything, and they fucking cheated. And they cheated in a dimension that we don't have. But that was part of the agreement as well, that for a period of time, they wanted to throttle our pineal glands, our frequencies, and so forth like that. And as more light kept coming into the earth over the years, more and more lights, and a lot of those lights were Hollywood stars that just took people into some of the other realms and stuff like that. I mean, there was a lot of light in a lot of different areas. And as more and more light, we started to accelerate our own timeline, and now we're just at a point where COVID has just blown a hole, I mean, in energy. And I mean, I call it a flat out genocide, okay? But I mean, we have a lot of other genocidal things going on the planet. I mean, you still have people being enslaved by the Arabs, and I mean, there's real slavery here in Detroit, and across the globe. And so, renegades are here in all levels of government, industry, corporation, star class. We're in all areas of everything. And and this is where I know that, like right now, I'm letting you know what I'm going through, is that I can feel the universal, the galactic come in. So I know that, when I get on certain things. So some of this drolling on that I'm doing is preparing us for the message that I have to deliver. You guys wanted me to talk about this, so I will. And so relax again. If you're doing something, you can put me on in the background. If you're really interested, then sit quietly. You can close your eyes and listen to this. Take it however you want to take it. I am a renegade, so I typically talk at that level. So if I lose you and that's cool, you're not resonating with it, then, the Renegade Division just says, well, then get the fuck out. Make sure you find, your frequency and what you need to tune into. I mean, we all are one. We all work together, and we all work together for Prime Creator. But there's a lot of fun in all of these dimensions that we have, right? And these other planets and the other galaxies that have been enslaved, like Earth, as it is on Earth, so it is in heaven. Okay? So the technology that was used to exploit, I mean, it's horrible. But let's take a step back. It's way better than we had. Evolution is a ugly, 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 ugly process. And it's like when I start machining an engine block out of just a big hunk of metal, right? And now it's got to be this precision thing, right? That literally holds a big bang and four of its cylinders. It's controlled explosions, which converts into steam, right? And then is pumped. Turns into pumping, twisting, torquing. Okay, so now that gross machining is the old evolution, when we had to try to figure out how to get giants and normal sized humans together in a standardized package that we are. Okay, I mean, like, we are number 5, and that was it at that point. Anybody that had contributed to Earth and wanted to fight for free will at that point were here. They were in the system. And listen, that includes the entire fucking universe, man. Okay, your DNA is specifically to you, and you have intergalactic ties, period. I mean, that's just the way that it is. I mean, there's no nothing. And if you're a renegade, then you got one thing. But if you're in the celestial body, then you got a whole nother thing. So people that are channeling out of the celestial guys, man, listen, I know who my guardian angels are, right? And renegades, we work right next to them. But there's a whole lot of times a renegade needs a fucking angel. Okay? We are not we're not on that side. It's no better, different, or worse, or whatever. I mean, it's just a renegade tends to get into trouble. However that is. I mean, we tend to be, like I said, we could be at the top of governments, we could be in all these corporations, but we tend to be renegades, man. We tend to be, even in those environments, the renegades, the renegade that, is behind the scenes, I mean, really making a difference for humanity, and nobody even knows what he's doing, or she's doing, to impacting the grid by living on a beach somewhere. I don't know. That's what's so wonderful about this, is that your DNA resonates to you. I mean, when I spent 6 months tracing magnetic frequency resonance through the city of Detroit, I mean, I looped in a car following energy and literally mapped out the sacred geometry. I'm like, oh fuck, that's where Ford put his power plant. Whoa. And he had a naturalist that he followed. He says, fuck, he and then there's a Fisher building it, and you know, it all started to relate with this energetic stuff. And you know, that connected me to Cairo because it's 180 degrees out of phase. And you know, there was just some really intense homework that I was doing. Even I mean, it was done in mania. I went into my light body. I dropped 50 pounds almost immediately. Just it was done. I was skinny as a rail. We'll talk a little bit about that. Um, I didn't mention this yet, but we're going to talk a little bit about a twin flame before we actually get into the meat. And I'm being told take as much time as I want, or basically I'm just on right now. I'm like, everybody's like, well, okay. Sounds like class is finally starting to settle down a little bit, or whatever you want to call this. What would I call this? Somebody asked. And I would call this a question and answer session with yourself. The best way to use what I'm going to talk about is that you're thinking a thought and then immediately it's confirmed, and then it's confirmed. And at first, like when I first tuned into frequencies like this, because I still go to frequencies like this and use them for myself in my own frequency. In fact, I mean, I'll just give you a flat out example. This morning it was Shauna LaFrancis. Thank you for bringing in that message from the Galactic Federation of Light. It inspired. That's really what got this. It's what I use, or no, excuse me. It's what the collective conscious used today to really kind of structure this meeting, I guess, if you want to say. But you're meeting yourself in your own mind, and you're just resonating. So if you're thinking, I'm trying to think of something where it's just, I mean, it's absolutely mind blowing when you first tune into it. And I'm getting this like just, I mean, throughout the fucking galaxy. They're like, what the fuck is this guy talking about, man? Like, I totally feel wah. And the first thing you want to do is it's hard to do, but you have to calm down, because that's what gets you thrown in the rubber rooms. And we're gonna talk about that, because I was thrown in a rubber room, okay, a couple of times. Yeah, somebody had fun with that, didn't they? But yeah, no, calm yourself down. No, that's okay, because these abilities are actually your abilities. But we want to live in the 3D right now. We don't want an abrupt disruption between 3D and 5D. We want to win this battle, and we want to fight them, because it's incredible history in the evolution of Earth. And the history of Earth, therefore, is shared throughout the collective. It's free information, just like it was when Earth first lit up. It was all free. It was a freaking library of the galaxy and the universe. I mean, there's so many people that contributed to who we are and why. And if you're a star seed, you better thank your guardian angels, the agency. If you're a renegade, you think about all your near-death experiences, or you've been dead, okay? This is part of your mission, okay? I mean, this is what you design for yourself, and when this first starts to come in alignment, it's pretty trippy. It totally freaked me out. It's why we're having this discussion. It's why you guys are leading this discussion, and you are part of the Galactic Federation of Light. Okay, we are family. Okay, some of us look like each other. Okay, literally, when we come back over and over, the reason you look like the way that you do is because of the DNA that it's passed on from generations to generations and generations. Okay, and these are sacred. It was wonderful, and these were the riches for the amazing contribution that the universe made, opened it up to the universities of the galaxies and creator gods and all these amazing levels that, we don't see down here on Earth. But Earth was supposed to be an amazing experience, and it included a resistance, right? I mean, we like playing cops and robbers, but it's, and it should continue. I mean, there should be entertainment that engages us where we're at in our evolution right now. We just need to connect to our multidimensional selves so that it can get better and we can control the assholes. I mean, we're not talking about kicking everything off the planet. What we want is that 1%. We want radical redistribution of wealth. We want everybody, if they incarnate down here and they want to raise a family, but they want to start from nothing and make it to a certain level, and then each generation go, or however they want to incarnate. If they want to incarnate and be a Lutheran, I mean, it doesn't matter. The Earth was a free will planet, but some of this, the reason I call the dark loyal opposition is because it was designed that way. Now the dark and light, man, yeah, we listen, I'm a renegade. These guys that are in control, okay, even of the dark forces, it's only like this much. And you're saying, well, he's talking about the dark, it's good. It was all part of the plan. It was literally all part of the plan. You guys wanted to hear about that. How do I get inspired to listen? I get up in the morning, and it depends how I feel. I talked about how I was feeling kind of blue, and the reason I was feeling kind of blue is because about right before Christmas, me and my wife, a very beautiful wife, decided that she was going to move out. We're still great friends, but we have been talking about it. I've been on this spiritual journey, and I've been literally sometimes just fuck out Looney Tunes and stuff like that, getting to where I'm at right now. But we had decided, some years ago, but we're really kind of too poor to do it. But she came into just a little tiny bit, and it was like, okay, well, if we're gonna do it, let's jump now. And she just came out of the blue with it, and literally, I'm like, well, okay, when? And she's like, okay, like next week. I'm going like, whoa. And there's many of you throughout the universe that are seeing these incredible kind of changes like this. And Um, so I get up, I had coffee, I watch about a half hour worth of network news. Um, I need to know what the coronavirus numbers are. I want to know about what's going on, and I kind of judge the situation in Detroit, the most dangerous city on the planet, um, as somebody's getting the purple haze. That's cool. um, Keeping your finger on the pulse of what's going on, because as a renegade, our biggest thing is literally like shining hard light on these problems, and we can work from the inside. We work through voting blocks, and we work through tax reforms, and demanding, like the mothers demanding that they weren't going to feed the kids poison milk out of their breasts over CFCs, the old refrigerant, Freon, right? And we changed it, and the ozone layer started to reverse and stuff. And we can affect a lot. I mean, we could just go, and so, yeah, it literally, you know, there there'll be a time where everybody understands where they fit in. We won't have the killings that we have the way that we have the killings. It would be different, but everybody likes a good murder story. Who done it? And when you incarnate, it's like you kind of signed up for that role. And you can have, and it's good to try to transform. Everybody loves an underdog story, somebody coming from having nothing or off the streets and turning their lives around, and all this. Everybody loves these stories. So a renegade understands that we can kind of be in the middle. We want to be, right? We really want to go to different galaxies and universes and kick the living shit out of evil motherfuckers. That's what we're here. And we're at the point where Earth is at the point where literally, if we can get Earth to light back up, we're just gonna light up the galaxy, man. It's the way that it should have been and was at one point in time. But we wanted free will. And that's really what this is about. So I wanted to talk about, you guys wanted to talk about this. And this is the twin flame part of it. Wow, that was a 43-minute introduction. Fuck. It is what it is. Twin flame, man. I was talking about I just want to say, I know we got a lot of younger viewers today because I was listening to Electric Octopus while I was getting ready for this transmission, whatever. Call it. Okay, so twin flame energy. I don't know why my wife just out of the blue says, "Hey, I know we talked about separating, but I found a place and it's available immediately." And at first I was like, "Oh fuck, I'm gonna be, oh man, I'm gonna be alone and all of this stuff, right?" And so we went through with it, and I'm talking about this because I know there's people out there that are going through this. And we talked about it, and we're still great friends. We're gonna do the Netflix and chill, and even that hasn't really happened since COVID. And what has happened now is that energy field is now completely away from me. And it's not that her energy field is bad at all. It's that my range needed to go like this, right? I mean, it just needed a lot of places to go, and I didn't realize that until she wasn't living here. And it literally made, like, I get up in the morning and usually I'm singing some corny song, and then I let out a couple like, God, I'm just glad to be alive in this time, you know. And there were some times where I got up and said, God, I just want to get off this fucking planet. I don't want to be here anymore. And that's the suicidal part of it, right? But yeah, the energy has changed. So when I came into full remembrance, I guess the first remembrance, which would have been 2015-ish, I got a glimpse of my twin flame and my wife, intergalactic wife. And what I was doing at the time is that I had a twin flame candle. It was in an all pink bathroom in a historic Detroit home. It was my inherited home. And the tile was, it was kind of a posh bathroom, and I would go soak in salt, and I would tone with that candle going. So I would go down there. Ooh, I throw a little vibrato in it. Ooh, 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 ooh. I just be having fun with it. But it was raising my vibration to the point where I could literally hear my twin flame talking to me. I could hear my wife saying, like, hey, listen, we're going to get through this, And at that time, it was revealed to me of, like, some of the things that I had out there. And it was one of the causes of my first breakdowns where I just wanted to go home. I didn't want to be on this motherfucking planet no more. I knew what was out there. Okay. I knew my baby was in the sky, and I wanted to go home. And that twin flame energy, okay, that I discovered while I was toning and doing all that work. And I mean, I would do it, man, I could do that an hour a day back then. But it only took, once the communication was established with my twin flame energy, it always stayed there, but it's been up and down, up and down, up and down. And I think one of the things that me and my wife, understand is that we really don't have that twin flame energy like that. And that was part of the reason that we had decided, but we were staying together because we are a handsome couple. We're both down with 420, okay, and smoking and so forth. But, our motivations are different and our frequencies are definitely different. I mean, like I said, there's no right or wrong there. So I started walking every day. And one day I typically walk, and I have, I'm in the frequency 963 right now, or I might do a 528, okay? And I walk with my headphones on, listening to those frequencies, and oftentimes she'll start ministering to me. She'll start literally talking to me. She's like, either, what the fuck are you doing? Or right now, it's like, you got to quit smoking, and you're going to quit on your birthday and never look back if you ever want to fucking see me in this lifetime. I swear to God, right? And I'm feeling that connection with my twin flame. I don't know what my twin flame looks like. Maybe she speaks French, maybe she is American, maybe she's I don't know, maybe she's a beautiful Moroccan, maybe she's a beautiful African Egyptian. I don't know. All I know is that, one, I'm definitely attracted to physical beauty and vibration. It's like the vibration is kismet. and that resonates with the whole thing. And, it's like the vibration, has to be there. So, and, I'm going to be the most gorgeous thing on the planet to her. And she's going to be the most gorgeous thing on the planet to me. But, coming into full remembrance, when you're remembering your twin flame, man, you are remembering all the missions that you've been on, the family, the starseed family, man, that stretches, and where that comes from, that ancestral line through the entire galaxy down to Earth. And for me, he, and it doesn't matter if it's he, she, whatever combination is comfortable, or no assignment at all, whatever, because this center here is the most important thing. But she really, and sometimes, man, I mean, now that I know I'm not crazy, and it's not like I talk to her all the time, I'm not crazy like that, but she definitely knows that she's here, because I try to put her out of my mind. Honestly, I'm like, oh my God, I got so much to do. Like, I already feel behind, I mean, like, I got a fucking learning disorder. I mean, I have to try 5 times harder on shit than the average person, even though I talk like a fucking rocket scientist and I had all those responsibilities. There's a way for me to acquire all that, but it's like I gotta work 5 times harder. So I'm like exhausted and I don't eat well and my sleep is all over the place, and so it's like I'm like, okay, I'm gonna try to get all my shit together before she comes in my life. And then the ancestors are like, no, she's gonna come and kick your ass. Right? And then she's like, I'm coming to kick your ass, and we're gonna get this. We're gonna be able to, for her and I will be able to awaken the kundalini together, and it's gonna be an exciting time for us. And that is where this comes in. If you're watching this message, I would invite you to invite your twin flame to join you in what else I have to say, because it's going to get a little bit deeper. And, but a renegade wife, man, is amazing. I just can't imagine what she might be into, like solving world hunger or whatever. She's telling me right now that she is really, really organized, and which is something I'm not, and that we're gonna have a lot of fun together, and some of the things that we're dreaming about together. Okay, so when you get your twin flame energy, man, this is talk to your twin flame, and laugh if your twin flame makes you laugh, or start feeling the emotional through here, the spiritual connection, and this, we'll just talk briefly about this because my twin flame is telling me this, is that this is also a way to combat the sexual addictions that are out there right now. She says Apollo knows all about it. And she says so does she. Okay. And it's a way to start preparing for preparing for everybody to be together. So invite your friend, your twin flame in, um, I can't wait until I meet mine. Okay, maybe we can go a little bit further. Everybody got their twin flame? Because here we go. I didn't want to talk about this. It's definitely going to be a little bit longer than a half hour more because we have to talk about suicide. We have to talk about bipolar. We've got to talk about third eye flashbacks. We have to talk about our new world and mind bending reality. These are all topics that you guys came up. That's why I write in a circle. The elders definitely said past lives, fear, fucked up future. We can't live in the trauma of our past lives, so we've got to talk a little bit about that. Um, okay, this part is first. I'm just waiting for everybody to figure out. God damn, you really gonna make me tramp through that shit. Okay, so what I'm hearing is that there are a lot of folks um, that have been here, done that, tried the bringers of light, all that other stuff. There's other folks out there that are going to be in one of these three categories that I'm going to talk about in a minute. You guys are up and down. I see some folks just kind of sitting at the edge of their table going like, fuck. I mean, I'm really close to the end of all of this and I can't deal with it. And, it's extremely overwhelming. It's fucking really, 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 really. Some of you guys are in some incredible fucking situations right now. Wow. Okay. Listen, I went from, I'm going to paraphrase this, okay? I went from a grown man raping me when I was 6 years old, full penetration, and I mean, just blew out my world. And then I moved to an all white community where I was like the little black baby doll that nobody wanted to play with, right? So it's like one of these things look different than the other, the whole Sesame Street shit, man. Listen, it was really kind of fucked up. It fucked up my personality. I was a rather popular kid while I got to high school, but it was all based on illusion because I had to fit into their prime narrative, and I can do that real well because I was brought up in that entire system, and then had to fit in the black world, and then I'd never really been able to live an integrated life, so of course I went up, and now it makes stance. And I've done a lot of things, but the biggest thing is that I was a millionaire at one time. I had a multi-million-dollar bankruptcy. I literally lost everything. I never really recovered from that. I mean, I did. I started businesses after that were moderately successful, and then they failed, and they didn't fail. I sold them, and then I went into the streets, and I tried to be an activist. And then, I was getting real. My dad was that I met after he passed away, because my dad was not part of my life from age 5 forward. I had a stepfather, and meeting him, and he was super deep. He was definitely a ascended master. I mean, the Egyptian stuff and the Library of Alexandria. I mean, he was off the map. And so I met him, and in the process of meeting him and unpacking that, I proceeded to unpack all of my spiritual gifts, my multidimensionality, and I was starting to tie into the grid cosmically. I was meditating 3 or 4 hours a day. I was spinning every day at least 33 times with a 33 and a third RPM record playing in the background. I was transcribing through my drums every day, at least an hour a day or better, sometimes 3 hours a day. I was sitting in nature on this place called Belle Isle. We're surrounded by water, had my foot in the water. I knew that water connected with the Nile River. And I took a lot of pictures that year, but the most amazing sunsets, the most amazing cloud forms, the most amazing colors. I mean, literally immersed in Eden for an entire summer. And so my multidimensionality was developing in that time, and I was there. I mean, I was seeing my past lives. I was understanding the process of judgment through the Book of the Dead, your heart being light as a feather, what the halls of a minty were, and how to go there. So I'm having very lucid, like, I roam these halls, and I help build Luxor, and I mean, I have very lucid. I'm coming into my full remembrance, down to the point where I literally had to have my feet in that water or on earth for most of the time of that spiritual development. And that really was before Bringers of the Dawn, right? And so I'm self-initiating is what that is. And the only way that I could have self-initiated is if I lost everything, man. I mean, my fucking company was worth $26 million. It was a fucking brilliant company. I mean, I didn't lose it. They stole it from me. And they tried. They didn't, yeah, I mean, really. The fucking mob, the Detroit Mafia. They wanted that motherfucker so bad, they corrupted one of my partners. A brother, man. I looked at my partner like he was a brother, man. Oh God, that was crazy. He won a lawsuit, $18 million. It was all gone in like 6 months, man. It's just wild. So when it got to the point where I'm living in a 3,000 square foot house, beautiful house in historic district of Detroit, all the Supremes lived on that street, and my family's connected, and my mom, and with Diana and Miss Ross, who also just lives down the street and stuff. There's a couple videos that I recorded of that, but the heat's off. It's getting cold outside, and I'm starting to lose it because all summer I've been going through gate after gate after gate after gate. Like, I had my friend Lotto, who was up in heaven. I'm like, brother, you gonna send me $1 million? And I go get the ticket, and it'd be all these gates on it, 11, 11, 03, and so I'm thinking I'm hitting it. I'm pawning just about everything that we got, to stay alive, to keep weed, gas, and to keep the electricity on, and hopefully have enough for the gas. And there was like, it was like I mean, it was crazy. So it was under that stress, right? And me having done Bringers of the Dawn by now, but also was doing the spinning. A tremendous, I mean, I was into looking directly into the sun at that point. And I did, not for very long times, but I definitely did for short bursts to get that in, and then I would put my sunglasses on and I would go back. And I bet you that that summer, that was 2015 as well. And so that whole summer was just making my vessel ready for the type of high bandwidth, high frequency information I would carry. Um, and it was around that time that I started chasing the grid through Detroit. I was being magnetically pulled all through the city of Detroit. And then I started looping. So I started leaving my resonant signature frequency in all these points around Detroit. And then I would loop certain points, and it got to the point where it's like I was really recognizing these large landmark buildings in specific geological, like high power portal kind of energy locations. And when you understand some of the thing, like Ford's first race car being 999 and Chrysler's Pentastar, because I was related to the auto industry, I kind of looked at it. I've always looked at that as like, wow, okay, what do they know? And then I started figuring out the sacred geometry of Detroit, because Detroit is built on a salt mine. So that's all crystalline energy. It's a gigantic, if you want to put it as like a galactic access point, which is why Detroit had a lot of thing. But it got perverse here. The people that started the companies didn't end up with their companies. And I got the Detroit treatment, but a lot of people throughout history, like Oldsmobile, for example, got that treatment where he built the plants and everything, and they just took it over. So I had done all that work, and that set up, between the stress of that going on at home, and oh, by the way, I've always been a earner, right? But that going on at home and the stress of that pushed me out into the galaxy, into my home in the Pleiades, my twin flame, missions that I had been on, missions that I had completed, the celebrations, my marriage, the intergalactic family, the star seeds that are related to me, my family, ancestry trees, and all of these things, and the places that we've traveled together, and just the frequencies in which we can do things, and the different experiences throughout the galaxies that we can have, because they're very diverse, and it's amazing. It's truly amazing. So under the stress, I went there, and I didn't want to go. I didn't want to come back. So once it got to the point where, I mean, it was literally, I'm standing there and I'm looking out of my eyes and I'm looking into my reality, and that is the reality. I don't want to come back, and I'm on Earth. So this was a really, like, kind of a hard, it was a little hard, man. Like, I actually remember being in the hospital at that time and thinking that I was in a teleport, and I'm listening to some beeping in the background, and I'm counting down, and I'm going like, why am I not gone already? Right? And I'm like, this is the last time you guys are gonna see me. Like I'm gone. I mean, and I was. I didn't want to live in the density of Earth anymore. Um, and that was a wild time. That was a time where I watched the weather and constantly, like the weather dictated the energy and the interference and what I was going to have to deal with, and leave it. Or you get to the point where you're watching football games and every number on the screen is related to one of your numbers. Or you watch a movie and like I'm Apollo 22, and in a movie, especially those old black and white movies, will open up with 22 on the side of a building or this and that, and then you know you're supposed to watch that movie, and then if you're purple class, the shit starts turning purple. Right, and you just go like, wow, man. And then you understand the star class, which is a brilliant class for Earth to have, a star class, and just how amazing and creative, and a lot of that's been lost, man. It's been perverted, just like everything else. I mean, it's 1%. And it was controlled back then, but Star Class got through. Star Class has been doing a really good job, honestly. Men in Black ain't the deal. So that was the first one, and then I was adamant that I wasn't crazy, and since I went to the hospital voluntarily, my mom convinced me to go. And it was like, I want to go home. I want to go home. And on the way to the hospital, man, I was like having active hallucinations that we were going to show up to a celebration because I made it home. Like Hendrix's In From the Storm. Um, and so I was there. But I was irate, and I checked myself out the next day. I'm like, I'm not fucking crazy. Let me out of here. Oh my god, this is horrible. So check myself out, and then the interesting thing, and one of the reasons that I know this was something that I had to go through was because when I wanted to go home, it was on Thanksgiving. And the next chapter, I was literally in a rubber room on Christmas. And then the next chapter, it was New Year. So I went back to back to back to back. And then ultimately what happened is they had to chemically neuter me for about a year. And then the ancestors and my angels and stuff like that started taking over and guiding, where I finally got the right doctor. I finally got the right support, and adjusted the meds, to the point where I could still feel alive, but not just go so far out there where I don't want to come back. Because the next portion of it was the paranoia portion of it, and the paranoia portion of it was when I figured out how they actually had stole my company through bankruptcy fraud. I went ballistic, and it even included the mayor of Detroit. I mean, I was sending him emails like, shit, 6 times a day. I want my fucking money back, blah blah blah, because I knew him. So I get paranoid because I know that the mafia is gonna kill me, right? Because they were involved, right? And they're even guy like, you're gonna fucking die. You fuck with them guys. I'm like, fuck it. I want my money, right? And being a renegade that I am, but I get really paranoid. So on Christmas Eve, my wife Stephanie goes out and she's at a Snoop Dogg parade, but I'm thinking that the dark forces are trying to kill me again. And this is when I had the remembrance of just how hard it was to get my specific seed into this time with my parents and so forth. And so I'm having this paranoia of them trying to kill me now because I'm remembering how they killed me in the past. And it could be past lives or in this life, like my house burned down and they tried to kill me then, and they tried to blow me up, and they ran me through an intersection with no brakes on my car, I mean, in all these different points in my life where I could have had a very different angle. And that's where you go, oh man, that's when guardian angels are badasses, for Renegade. I mean, they really are that class. I mean, and so forth. So I'm all paranoid, and so she's out. I think they try to blow up the house, and my mom and my son comes over to check on me. They never do that. I'm paranoid, so at some point I'm like, you know what? They're trying. You guys can't be here. You gotta leave, right? And I'm flipping out, and so I finally said, okay, well, we're gonna call 911, right? I says, yeah, you call 911 because I don't know why Secret Service isn't here packing this up and putting us in witness protection already, right? So I'm out there, but when they got to my house that time, it was like they busted through the door, through because my kid was screaming. My mom didn't know. I'm like, get away from the door. I thought they were there to kill the family, and I didn't want my kid or my mom there. They thought that I was going to do something to them. And then the cops come through the door, and I mean, it was like, bam. I mean, I'm face just crashed. I'm in handcuffs. I went from a president of a company to this, right? And they took me to what I affectionately call 3Q down in Detroit Receiving Hospital. And basically, I slept in the rubber room. And it was a joke. I knew I had, at that point, it was Christmas, man. And I can remember shivering there on Christmas. I had punched through the paranoia, and the nurse was nice enough to give me a gift. She brought everybody gifts. They were small gifts, but they were really appreciated. And the down there, the doctor says, you don't know the fucking mayor, because I'm like, I fucking know the mayor. He's like, you don't know, fucking shut up and take your medicine, right? And so he shot me up for this stuff called Haldol, and then released me with no follow-up, nothing. I'm like, holy shit. I know I just had a fucking psychotic break, and there's no follow. I'm thinking this is the most dangerous shit in the world, right? So I get I'm so paranoid that I can't move back into the house of Detroit. So I moved into my mom's house. Sharon, the shit that they took me, that they gave me in my arm, took me and parked me in the fourth dimension. Okay, so now I'm seeing all of just the bullshit. I mean, the soul recycling machines, man, they look like old car machines, man. Just this antiquated technology, really. And that's why they're trying to melt the ice caps to get to some technology that they think is buried up there, but it's not. But so it was that hospital stay that I had to fight for my life. So that was the third hospital stay on New Year's. So we went Thanksgiving, Christmas, now New Year's. And that's the hospital stay that I had to really fight to either stay completely fucked up or come back into this life. And the only thing that got me through is I had this jacket that had a smell in it, and the thought of my family, my son in particular, because my dad wasn't with me. Ultimately, I couldn't let, and I'm fighting this battle literally in the dimensions in my head. I am fighting. I'm shearing. I'm black, and I know that when I got to a point, first thing that happened is I went through atonement, and that would have been my sins. Okay, so in this lifetime, and let me tell you, that was no fun. I mean, there were things that were brought up that made me scared shitless that, I might not be able to pass. And then when it's like a learning process. If you go there, it's basically if you're a Senate master, everybody's different, but it's like it's the reason that you did it is slowly revealed as you're an ascendant master backwards, and you have to feel the entire gravity of that sin for atonement. So when I got to mine, I literally cried for probably about a fucking day when it was revealed to me what I had actually done, and then God's mercy on top of that. Okay. And so it wasn't until I got to that point that I saw what those other people were doing. They were going to hell on a conveyor belt, right? Big machine, pow, pow, pow. I mean, it was loud as fuck, and they're pleading for their lives and this and that, but they're pow. Their reality is frozen, and they believe that they're in hell, but there's not really a hell. But they believe that, and they can believe that for the eternity if the energy's trapped. So I'm standing off to the side, and once I got to that point, I was like that. My dad came out, I went behind, I went directly into mission control for my life. And I was shown everything. I mean, everybody guardian angels were there. People in the Federation that had served in my lifetime, like my stepdad, my grandfather, okay, the people that had come, and those two specifically in the Federation were not related to me. They were actually assigned to help get me through, and other people will have these assignments. You'll know that. Like, we didn't know that my grandfather wasn't related to my mother until after he died, and both of them died. So that was a specific star seed that needed to get to me, and then everything that happened to me. And everybody has those stories, those cosmic stories. So I went behind the veil and I saw a whole lot of stuff. But it's so super fantastic that it shut me down completely. Going through that experience shut me completely down. I came out, I couldn't talk. I was hiding behind Stephanie. I'm a guy that used to, give presentations in front of 1,000 people. And, it was shocking, and I had to go into literally a complete shutdown. And what I mean by a complete shutdown, I sat on the couch for a year. I really didn't talk. The chemicals that they had me on, I wasn't having any sex at all. I was just completely shut down. And I figured out that I really needed that. And when it was time to get up, I had a pulmonary embolism. And, I'm asking out. We're doing okay. So, because I know it's just okay. So then it was time to get up, and then and it was in that time. Remember, I said my heat was off, all that other stuff. It was right in that time, like I think just before I hit the hospital the first time, or in between the first hospital and the second time, I got a letter from Chrysler that said they were going to buy out my retirement, and it was going to be like 100 G's, right? So this is the ancestors working for me. They're positioning me now, right? So that I could do this, including, my wife going out. But anyway, so man, okay, so I got money now, after the government took their half of the money to at least live for a couple years, and that's exactly what I did. And then by that time, my disability went through, so that's cool. And I'm engineering my way off of that, right? But I want to tell you that having a complete nervous breakdown and a multi-dimensional nervous breakdown is And it's more than just the people that have been trapped by trauma. Although a lot of us, especially in the Renegade class, have a tremendous amount of trauma. And the other thing that I want to say is I never had any real treatment for mental illness until like I was 50 years old, until I was going down this track. But again, losing everything and then going straight into psychosis, for lack of a better term, and then taking 17, 18, 19, 20. It's been almost 4 years in rehabilitation. I went through dialectical behavioral training, which I suggest anybody dealing with mental illness go through. So, like, two things can be true at the same time, and there's actually a gray and white. It's not all or nothing anymore, and we can learn. Um, so, this is really more for the younger viewers and trying to grow up in your identity, um, specifically related to suicide. Um, they really said, yeah, I'm kind of out of touch. But I'm not out of touch because, as much as I hate to admit it, I spent a lot of time just coming up in suicide ideation. I mean, I had faced tremendous trauma. I was debased. I had several childhood homes, although I was very middle class. Okay, I was spoiled, really. I had things that other kids, and I grew up in a very middle class, upper middle class white community in a house, that my parents built. So my stepdad and my mom built, you know, dysfunction is all over the place. I mean, all you got to do is go to white suburbia, and you know that. I mean, it's some real fucked up shit out there, and a lot of that is because we're debased and we're controlled by this 1%. But breaking out of depression. Wow. Okay. One, um, and this is related to suicide. We're gonna go right to suicide. You know what happened to me, but I was definitely suicidal in there, especially, man. I mean, that last time, between that second and third time, was a really scary time for me. The last time I was in, I went in for 2 weeks. There's some videos on this channel that I recorded right before I went into the hospital that time. I went into mania. I was in the mania for a couple of months or something. I don't know. And I was out there again. I actually, on that trip, that was literally, I stopped talking again. I had so much security clearance at that point in time that I was visualizing and feeling the supernatural security forces that are around my energy and so forth, on the third. And, you know, they caught me on the side of the road out of gas. Luckily, in the place that I was supposed to run out of gas. And I couldn't talk. And then I'm interacting with the technology because I understand this technology. So radios, radio frequencies, and all this other stuff. I mean it. I mean, it's coming in like really hard, and I'm really pissed off about some. Oh, they had called the police chief of Detroit, a Sambo. And so I was like pissed. So I was calling on the spirit of John Horse, and I was visualizing that I had all the really corrupt people in Detroit that, I mean, were just raping the people, stealing their property through law and stuff like that. I was actually imagining in my head having them all in a room, and John Horse, the great warrior, of course, Seminole tribe, and I were in the room, and we say, okay, how many of y'all are butt fuckers? They all raise their hand. And, you know, I was having a blast in that dimension with the ancestors. And I mean, I was hallucinating, but I was cleaning up all of the corruption that I knew in my head. And you know, like one of the cops, this is like the wildest shit we ever saw. But I, you know, before I went in there, I was super top clearance. My van has stealth van on the side of it. I thought it was completely stealth. I thought they had the mayor's kid holding them hostage. They were going to blow up Detroit. I mean, you know, and in the spiritual realm, that is very, very true, but you're fighting it with spirit and energy, you know, and it can play out in your head that way, but you're really just directing energy here. And I didn't understand that. Actually, I'll be honest with you, I might have never understood all of that until just now. But I mean, we're directing the energy that way, and we can play around with that in our head, but that's not the density that we're living in. And that, I feel like that may have been a trap for a lot of people. Yeah, I'm going back to so I'm gonna get back to suicide. Just hang on there. I think there's some oh, we got to wrap up this thing. So I talk about those. I you know, and I don't. That's why I call this a classified thing, because I don't talk. I don't ever talk about this shit. I mean, there. My family don't know. Hell, my wife don't know half the shit you guys know. My twin flame knows it, and she's like there for me, man. Even like right now, I'm feeling so alone, and I've been isolated, and you know, like even though that I'm trying really hard to, you know, keep my vibration up, I know that me personally have made a lot of mistakes in my choices with women, and I don't want to say made a mistakes. In fact, they're not fucking mistakes at all. I better back that shit up. That, you know, I had to have a lot of experiences, you know, but there's a point in a time where you really start getting in a lot of these experiences were quite frankly horrible experiences for me, very horrible. And some of you have had some really nasty experiences too, men and women alike, and abusive relationships as well. And so I'm trying to break free and get into that twin flame, and you're going crazy at the same time because you're ascendant master trying to sort out all these dimensions. Um, is a big deal. Sometimes when I get a little long in the tooth, if you are suicidal, if you're at the end of your rope. Um, Nothing makes sense. And you've managed to hang on this long in this video. Yes, we're talking to everyone. This is everyone's conscience. Yes, yes, yes. Wherever you're at is where you're at. The idea is that, and part of the reason that this message had to come out today is because you have to start looking at all of these spiritual gifts and everything that you've been getting as a gift, because a lot of people, and a lot, I mean, have kept you safe throughout all of your experiences so you can recognize yourself and get on about that business. And that includes joy, happiness, love, togetherness, sharing, understanding, right? Where it's just a perfect fit and you feel electric, you feel alive, and together you create uh, whatever you want to, you know. You understand, awakening the kundalini, and now that becomes a prayer, and there's a whole lot of stuff there. So you got to stop feeling suicidal, because you have to pull that energy into you. And that's the reason that uh, we all decided to talk a little bit more about the twin flame today, so that you could have hope, and that that there's somebody out there that understands you, that's going to get you with all of your fucking baggage. And trust me, Apollo 22, me, I have a shit ton of baggage, okay? But it's good baggage now. I mean, but these are experiences. And my twin flame uh, has a bunch of baggage too. But it's not about the baggage. It's about what we do together. And then a lot of that baggage and shit like that gets healed. She'll come into your life, or he'll come into your life, and those things will be healed, and because they're healed energetically already. And it's just a matter of uniting those two. But it's also, and this is very tough for me, rejecting that energy that isn't, or you take on the energy wrong. There's absolutely nothing wrong with getting together and knocking boots and feeling good together with somebody and having that release. I mean, it's not like you're like, my twin flame knows I'm a whore. She's not, but she knows I'm a hoe. She knows I have experience with a fair amount of I'm a hoe. That's what she keeps telling me. She says I'm a nasty hoe. I am not. Uh she's playing with me. She really is playing with me. Um so that's an energy and related to suicide that you can use to create hope. The other thing in suicide right now is the fact that you are in an identity crisis. And so, who am I, and what is this, and how far up do I go, and how do I know if this shits, and I feel like I'm possessed by the devil, and they do got me on all these medications, and I feel this and that. I mean, there's a multitude of questions that when it comes down to it, it is frequency alignment and help. One, I, you know, I'm talking kind of, they're talking through me, okay? So forgive me if I'm talking in third person. But it's Apollo didn't come into alignment without a lot of help, okay? He had peer support. He had a therapist. He has a doctor. He takes his medicine, okay? And he went through DBT, which he understood. It could be something different. The point is that these are other beings that are here on Earth to help you normalize to Earth, and it's okay to have a multi-dimensional reality, but this is for you. This is for you. This is for you. It's like when I was in training for this ninth dimension thing. They want me to share the story. When I was in training for this, I didn't know it was training. This was one of those things where I thought I was going out of my mind. But in my mind, I was daydreaming, thinking, meditating, or whatever, and I started to get into these realms where it was so classified. I mean, I went into primordial records of gene splicing, and I mean, I was able to see all this stuff. And when I got so far up there, it's like if I hit a level, I would literally hear a bird chirp, just like a car alarm. And the further I went up, and they were in perfect alignment and synchronicity with everything. And that's something I never really talked about. But when you start dialing in, it's like I don't talk to my therapist about my intergalactic life. Okay. Um, I talk to my therapist about my depression. If I'm having incredible mood swings, am I stable? Like right now, I'm really stable. I talk to my, if I got to work on trauma, I'm quitting smoking. I had a porn addiction, which goes back to that whole rape and growing up in the 70s, free love, coming in the energy of free love and all that sex during the 80s and in high school and stuff like that. There's a lot that said, there's a lot of people that fit that profile. So don't go like, he said something like that. I go like, yeah, man, I understand, right? And this is all that low vibrational frequency that will get you trapped and get you into a suicidal state. And that's ageless. But I am feeling the weight of the younger folks with the suicide. So you're living with your multidimensional self. But, when I talk to my therapist, I mean, literally, I'm like, what are things that I can do that can help me be here now so that I can experience life now? Um, because when you really tuned in, it's a mind bending reality. Mind bending reality. It's just a fucking mind bending reality. And the collective wants to say that, there was a lot of work and time getting you to this point. So you have to raise your frequency to understand that you are worth something, that there were angels along the way, celestial beings, people in your life, people that love you now. And there's some of you out there that got a kick, some crazy drug habits and shit, and part of that is trying to cope with your multidimensional reality. There are other people that are cutting some really nasty shit. The whole Listen, they got damn near the whole planet addicted to porn. It's not just any one person, man. It's like a pandemic is persuasive. I mean, they know exactly what primordial buttons to push and like our ancient systems to just make that shit almost like involuntary, man. It's like just like depositing in a slot machine or going into a casino with all the lights and stuff going off. I mean, it it really is a franchise system, right? But the flip side of that is there's nothing wrong with a casino being a casino and being able to amp us up and doing all that stuff. And hell, there's really nothing wrong with porn if it's done ethically, or at least to something. I don't know. I mean, all that little mommy son daddy daughter shit, brother sister stuff, it just it scrambles my brain. So I mean, but there's a lot of people that are trapped in that, and that's very low vibration. If you stay in low vibration, you will kill yourself, period. I mean, I had to take that long to say that, but if you stay in that low vibration, you will kill you. You will abort your mission if you're a renegade. You can't live there. And I have personal experience. I'm waiting to go get my semicolon, right? And then it took 4 years for my nervous breakdown to get to where I'm at now, where I'm like sharing my knowledge with you. That's cool. I know I'm not talking too long because I just looked over and I got a 22. There's a couple things. When you live in the past and you go back to your past, you can't live in the fear associated with the past, or you'll completely fuck up your future. And that's where my paranoia came from the second time. But my paranoia and the feelings that I was feeling in paranoia, I mean, really stretched back throughout the galaxy and the universe. Any place that I was there, renegading is light. And so anybody that taps into that has the same pain. We're talking millions of people. Remember, my mission is to radically activate at least 1 million people, right? So, that means that when you tap into that, man, I mean, and that paranoia, yeah, I mean, some of you folks, if you got PTS like me, you're in the motherfucking battle. You're in the battle. You're smelling the smoke, okay? You're seeing it. Shit is flying all over the place, okay? And you're seeing carnage. And then if you're like me that have been here in a whole bunch, I mean, you've seen evolution and the machines and the meat grinders, and I mean, for people, and the grafting, and there's a reason there's a clay pot in every one of our origin stories. We are test tube babies. But it wasn't some bullshit pot. It was advanced enough, and there was a whole lot of people, universes that created that. So any disconnect from that, when you start remembering that, it's mind bending. I mean, you start flowing with energy, and you're connected, and you're streaming, what I call direct plugged in, and you're in that multi-dimension, they're going to think you're nuts. So you have to learn not to talk to the council in public, right? Every once in a while, it's okay to let out a laugh, okay? But you got to get that under control. And what you want to treat when you go to a mental health specialist is not your relationship in the Galactics. You want to worry about, I'm not getting up in the morning, and nothing helps me get up. And the more light that we bring into the earth, there will be more pharmaceuticals that help balance us. There'll be more enlightened workers that might be able, and that will be changing. We will be getting counselors and medical people that that will understand energy work and be able to understand your multidimensionality. But that's going to take a minute, I think. So it sounds like we're pretty good there. I got a pretty good tug. uh I'm getting that a lot of folks, you're burnt the fuck out. I mean, you're just tired. You've been depressed for months. Uh, your vibration is just, there's forces that are in your life that are interfering or dangerous in some situations. Um, some have had the hallucinations and think that they're crazy. Um, okay, we're I talked about the star class, and this is probably going to be the last big lesson I'm feeling from them, because it's already, I don't even know, I don't care what time it is. Yeah, it's going on too. Wow. Okay, so if you've ever seen a cross and a ankh, okay, a ankh, on the top of a ankh, that actually represents the womb of a woman. The things coming in to the center of the ankh, I'll put it on my pineal gland. The center of the ankh is the ovaries, and then the thing coming up from the bottom is the penis. And in the middle of the ankh is the Big Bang. And in that Big Bang is actually the spark of life. And somebody wants to understand this. How can there be such low vibration on the planet? And it's at that point, when you get your rocks off and you go and you make a baby, is the point of vibration that comes, that that really attaches itself to that embryo, and then that grows into a baby. And of course, that is born into the vibration of their parents, which could be very low. So, a way that they've used to, you want me to go there? One of the ways that they've used to do that in lower economic black communities is that they get all this music, like, hey, hit this bitch, bang this bitch, boom boom, do it, goody goody, all this trap. Actually, it's trap. Think about it. Trap music. It's trap. It's trappy souls music. And so what happens is people have sex in those situations to those kind of lyrics, or just, that kind of thing all the time. And then that's very low vibrational stuff. And there's a lot of that in the suburbs too. It just takes different forms. And it doesn't matter really what station, because you can have that same low vibration in a very rich family. A son that likes to rape his sister and they have a kid or something. I mean, and that's where the assignment, that's the bottom, like, mark in that. And so it really depends if that soul was damaged or not, going through the fourth dimension, where we recycle the souls, and then the different things that, entities that control that. And it's really a sick and sadistic kind of thing. And it's all about money, control, dominance, greed, ego, um, and ultimately we're losing. So getting back to that vibration, and so the idea is that even in that vibration, and even more so in that vibration if you're a renegade, because depending on uh what you've done in previous lives, you may have had to blow up uh the World Trade Center because it was the most humane thing to do on the planet at the time. A renegade would have to do that, but then, in order to renew and work off some of that stuff, you could work it off a little bit at a time, or you can take the plunge into that low vibration. And then, you want to talk about folks that really have some real depth to their history. So the idea is to raise the frequency. Bipolar is a big thing. You're up, you're down, you're up, you're down. You need to balance, and that's why I believe in my psychotropics, because at least I can balance, and I still get into mania. And I like my mania. I've always liked my mania. Third eye flashbacks. Uh, Again, dream states. Third eye flashbacks. You have, because see, that'll drive fear, and then the fear that you have through those flashbacks and stuff will then drive the future, because it's instantaneous and time goes across forward, backwards, up and down. So your intention in the instant is what blows that out. Okay, so uh, you get in there, what you're supposed to be doing is looking for your root codes, and you take your root codes like, oh, I'm from here, right? So you have a flashback to a period of time. What's that telling you is that, oh, I'm from Lumeria, or I'm from this planet, and or that whatever. You grab it and you're activating your DNA so you can awaken your spiritual gifts. Okay, I mean that's what it's designed for, to bring you radically online. And if you get out in front of that, you'll go Looney Tunes like I did. And I know there's a lot of people. Um, the hallucinations are real. They're real places. So um, you have to understand that now, as a grown up being, that hallucination is just a physical representation of that fifth dimension place that you're thinking about, and that you direct energetically energy up there. That's how you go back and forth in time, up and down in amplitude. It's the intention, it's the energy that flows out there on that plane that could take you anywhere in the universe, the cosmos. It don't matter, right? So, that's you have to get rid of the emotional roadblocks, which means shutting off that trauma, but not in an irresponsible way. If you can get behind a veil like I did, and you understand your trauma and why it was put in your life, and it's not like you understand everything, but the people that inflicted the trauma, except for like my racist, there's no mercy there. But like my stepdad, I understand that he was more like a military class guy, that I needed certain things beat into me so that I could feel and bring certain things back. So, everything was good there, but you're gonna have to know that dimension is up there. It's not coming down here, right? But we can live in both places, and it can be beautiful. And as we energetically change what's going on up there, then our lives, we manifest through here, and our lives begin to reflect uh, what our intention and our energy flow is. And so that, there's another thing, not to be suicidal, that this is what this is. The dimensions need to be where they're at, and we definitely want to live in the third dimension, or we're going to clean out the fourth dimension and spend some time there, because it's really a cool dimension, when it's cleaned up and it's operating properly, but we're definitely going five, but there's some cool things there. um I'm just going to ask if there's anything else, because I've been talking and I don't know who needed what. Okay. um Radical light, I don't know why I just made a 2 hour video. I don't really want, I mean, I keep saying I don't want to do this stuff. But if I understand that what I'm saying in this video is going out through the universe, and that the energy that's encoded in here is already there, and the intention to have me make this video was determined a long time ago. But what I'm talking about now, because I've developed my spiritual gifts, which everybody should do, is basically the entire consciousness of the Galactic Council renegades that are tuned to this channel. There could be, I hope there's a million other channels just like me one day, until the war is won. And however you get your information, however we can do this, but you got to know that, it sucks that we have a lot of bipolar. I mean, everything, even the news programs bipolar. I mean, schizophrenia is how the bees pollinate the flowers. So you're gonna say that they're schizoid, or are they using some incredible mind power? And so integrating that stuff is going to take a little bit of time, and we want people to win the battle and actually have the experience, and everybody wants to have the experience. But now's the time, twin flames and serious folks. But again, I'm filling out. Oh yeah, I got the 33, so I'm done. Wow, 202 999 gigabytes. Okay, so I'm wrapped up, and man, peace, love, and power to everybody out there. You fucking renegades, you rock on. Hopefully today helped clear up some things that you needed to hear. Whatever. Do I care? Yes, I care. Um, yeah, I think we're really cool. I think we got some of that energy. I'm just going to be quiet for a second here. You just got to remember that, Federation is part of the collective, and that everybody that is in Renegade class is part of the Galactic Federation. Actually, I can't just say Renegade class, because the Galactic Federation of Light is like huge organization that has several hundreds, maybe thousands of divisions within it. And so we're a team, but the collective really, is really the thing, because in the past, the Federation didn't necessarily get along with certain folks, and the other folks didn't certainly get along with us. And we are now at a point where everybody feels that Earth is ready to make its transition, into the next stage, and is pouring an enormous amount of energy into Earth so that Earth can come up and then start feeding energy as it should back to the planets that have been seeded by Earth and the universe. So, and that comes directly from the council. So, there needs to be millions of us talking. So, anyways, with that, y'all, I hope you have a great Sunday. And yeah, peace out. Peace, love, do 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 do.